Good morning. Happy Friday, and welcome to your Roundtable. I'm with Paul, Justin, and Ian. We're going to go through your predictions for this week. But first, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, Paul, and I know that you and Ian discussed this earlier this week, but the national punditry is suggesting, and they may be right, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this, Texas has to win out. And that's the idea. Then really the playoffs start this weekend. I would be curious on your thoughts on that. Maybe even getting a little bit into the team mentality of this.
Yeah, that's a great point. So this is all just a bunch of eliminators. Right. That's what this is. And the truth is, we can make a lot of arguments, but the national sentiment, and it's not based on any facts. I think we understand that the committee is just going to create an entertainment product with some rough outlines of meritocracy around it. So what Texas needs to do is control its own destiny, because there is a strong loss column bias, and there is a lot of Indiana's played the 100th hardest schedule, but they're undefeated.
Right.
Texas, they got whipped by Georgia. And, who have they played? And then they're doing a lot of the sophistry of how many top 25 teams and, not looking at actually playing top 40 teams actually has danger to it, right?
Right.
So if you are someone who does power rankings, or if you bet professionally, if you're a gambler, you would understand that if Indiana had played Texas's schedule, they're probably a 2-loss team. If Texas had played Indiana's schedule, they're undefeated. So that's a difficult thing for sort of normies to conceptualize. So the simple Occam's razor solution to all this, just win, baby.
Yeah.
Beat Kentucky by 1, beat A&M by 1, and all of our wildest dreams will come true.
Does that seem to be the sentiment amongst the rest of you fellas? I think that makes the most sense to me.
I mean, you're in if you do that, right?
Yeah.
So that's great. Me and Paul noted on the deep dive the other day, although I think we did miss a team, that the idea that Texas needs to win both of these games to make the playoffs is just not true. If they lose to Kentucky but beat Texas A&M, then they're going to be either just on the outside if everybody else wins, or totally in with just one upset over the next 2 weeks.
So, but obviously at that point we're reliant on other folks. This is the easiest way to control their own destiny, obviously, right?
Yes, but if you're locked in that Texas has to win out or they're not going to make the playoffs, then your position is reliant on steady, consistent behavior by various semi-organized hordes of 18 to 22-year-old young men.
Hordes.
Right.
It's the Mongols.
Yeah. I mean, less organized than the Mongols, even in many of these games.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this has been a point of contention on the board recently, and it's a little bit becoming of an annoyance to me that no, Texas does not have to beat Kentucky.
With all this, and as we're getting closer to obviously this weekend is Senior Day. One of the points of discussion is whether we might be honoring someone who isn't a senior, and that would be Kelvin Banks. This quite possibly is arguably his last year, and I'm just curious. This is a question coming in from just a dude. What do you all say about Kelvin as a guard in the NFL? That seems like a shift for me. I see you shaking your head, Paul.
This is classic NFL draft Twitter. It's a bunch of nerds who put NFL scout in their Twitter profile because they watch some highlights and they pretend like, and they're the guys that are like, they use arm talent in every third sentence.
They played on the scout team in high school.
So the default sort of mid-wit take of NFL draft Twitter is that any tackle in college who's 6'4", you just move him to guard. And it doesn't matter what his actual traits are. So what is Kelvin Banks known for? Well, he's got amazing technique. He's got amazing feet. And despite being only 6'4", he's shown that he can handle edges with length, multiple first-round draft picks.
Right.
What is he not as good at?
was gonna, yeah.
Drive blocking. What do guards do?
Drive block.
Yes. So could he play guard in the NFL? Yes. You know what he would be? A league average guard. So are you going to expend your number 8 pick in the NFL draft to start a league average guard? Or are you going to play him at his natural position?
Paul, I think Connor Williams ruined it for a lot of Texas fans because he starts at tackle and then goes inside and then goes inside. And he finally winds up being what? An all-pro center.
Yeah.
Kelvin Banks is going to go in the top 10, top 15. You don't draft guards in the top 10, top 15. It doesn't work that way.
So what you're saying is Kelvin Banks needs to move to center.
Thank you, Kathy Newman. Yes, very good.
That's the real talk.
But so here is one truth, and we'll get some ahas in a year or something. If a team with 2 established tackles that they're about to lose one of them, in free agency, drafts Kelvin Banks as the replacement, as a transition, he could start a year at guard, right? That's a thing. But ultimately, if you're going to draft Kelvin Banks high, you're drafting him high to start him at tackle. You're not drafting him to become a league average guard.
Right. Well,
you can find 200 guards. You can find 5 tackles.
Right. Twitter NFL draft they're the dumbest group of people that you can encounter.
It's because they have arm talent.
They all have arm talent.
Generational.
Everyone's generational. I don't know if
I've seen a lot of generational
Ian thought
talent.
Bryce Petty was generational. I love it.
Was that who I said? Bryce Petty? I don't think I said Bryce Petty. I don't remember who it was, but it definitely wasn't Bryce Petty.
Good morning.
Man.
I needed that laugh.
Let me see here. All right. We before we move on, one thing that obviously, and we've talked about this a couple times every time I've been on with you, Justin, but if you can just give the fine people that may not have been paying attention this week, what we should be expecting in terms of our visitors this week, this being the last home game.
Potentially the last home game. Definitely the last home game before the class of 2025 signs in less than 2 weeks on December 4th. So definitely come see us at Inside Texas because this visitor list is ever changing. Listen, there's a category for this weekend, maybe. And what we're learning is the last 2 weeks of before early signing day is crazy. It's absolutely crazy because Texas is trying to flip a handful of guys. And the schools they're committed to, let me tell you, they don't like that. They're against that idea. And so Michael Fasusi, 5-star offensive tackle committed to Oklahoma, is supposed to be on campus this weekend. Oklahoma's doing everything they can for that not to happen. They just lost their quarterback commit, flipped to Florida State last night. Kevin Sperry out of Denton Guyer. Oklahoma is going down the drain. But as long as Bill Beatonball is coaching the offensive lineman, I feel strongly Fasusi's going to stick with that Oklahoma commitment. But he's supposed to be on campus. Other guys that are supposed to be on campus include Cade Phillips. That's a big maybe per the dad. He's an LSU commit. LSU just lost the biggest commit in their program in probably the last 20 years yesterday, and Bryce Underwood flipping to Michigan. What does that tell you quarterback-wise? Nothing. What does that tell you NIL-wise? They're going to have some extra money. They're going to come back and go back at Cade. There's a good chance Zion Williams makes it to campus on Saturday. LSU is doing everything they can for that not to happen. When he called and told LSU on Wednesday he was coming to Austin, they weren't happy. But he's expected. Handful of other guys. Nathaniel Owusu-Butang, the linebacker out of IMG. He's actually out of Virginia, but down in Bradenton, Florida. He's not going to be in this weekend. That one was canceled. Kellen Wiley, not going to be in. He was in 2 weeks ago. He's probably going to Florida this weekend. I like where Texas stands with the 2024 Tampa linebacker. And then you got Jamie French, the commit, coming back. Some people were worried if there was some smoke around Florida following that official visit. His teammate flipping to Florida, Trammell Jones. He needed to be. He said he wanted to be closer to home. Texas told him, "Well, Austin's home," and he believed him. And so he's coming back this weekend. That list is ever changing. We're going to have more updates at InsideTexas.com later today. But just to give you an idea, it's the weekend of maybes. And those confirmations should be coming in sometime before the game tomorrow. So just stay tuned.
While I've got you, Justin, what are your thoughts on this? This is from Just a Dude. Thank you again so much for that super chat. Those super chats are going to guarantee that your question gets asked. And it also, again, is going to help Ian buy that minivan. So the question here is, thanks, fellas. Horns win 35-10. I love the optimism there. What's more important, to get Fasusi or Zion? What are your thoughts on that, Justin?
Okay, real quick. Zion Williams is the more important target. He's a gigantic defensive tackle in this class, this cycle. They need gigantic defensive tackles. They need guys to join a Josiah Sharma, a potential Myron Charles potentially coming in this weekend, might be back at Florida as well. But Fasusi's the more talented guy. Fasusi's got to me the higher ceiling. Fasusi's the safer pick, in my opinion, from a developmental standpoint, a production standpoint. Both are important. Both are important positions. Anytime there's an offensive tackle, we're talking about Kelvin Banks. Why? Because he was a 5-star offensive tackle. They matter. We can find guards. You cannot find these tackles. Fasusi, in my opinion, is that important. Yes, you're going to lose Banks. You're probably going to lose Cam Williams. And you've got an incredible Trevor Gooseby and Brandon Baker coming in behind those guys. You don't want to turn down a 5-star offensive tackle that looks like Michael Fasusi, that acts like him and plays like him. That being said, Zion is the more important at the moment because you got to make sure you restock that defensive line. He's 6'5", 325. He's got feet of a dancing bear. This is a guy. That's a good question, Justin. It's a really good question. But it's either or. You need Zion because you need more defensive linemen. But man, Michael Fasusi, it's always important to get a left tackle. Always.
I want to, we're about to get into our predictions and look at maybe some of the deep stats going into this. But before we do, I'd love to hear from our sponsor, and it's me reading it. Hi, I want to tell you about Laura Baker. If you're looking for a new home in the 512, or even at this point, let's face it, 737 area code, there's only one number to call. That's Laura Baker at 512-784-0505. As a member of the elite Andy Allen team with Keller Williams, Laura has helped Longhorns find the home of their dreams in Central Texas. Just ask our resident sex symbol, Ian Boyd, who moved all the way from Michigan to Texas with Laura's help. Laura can help you find what you're looking for in the 512, the 737, or even parts of the 254 and the 210. Just, give her a call at 512-784-0505. Her email is in the description, as well as the rest of her contact details. She's a friend. Give her a call. We're going to get into how you gentlemen think this is going to go, but as you know, I like to kind of get beyond the numbers a little bit. And one of the things that I discovered while looking into this game is that Kentucky has some very distinct advantages that I would love to go over with you right now. First of all, probably the most important one is bourbon. As you guys know, Texas produces 0 bourbon. And Kentucky is doing over 100 different types of bourbon. And one thing that I found really interesting about this was the most expensive bourbon on average is Old Rip Van Winkle 25. And I'm just curious, Ian, do you have any idea how much one of those things costs per bottle?
I think I do, actually.
Go for it. Are you looking it up?
No, I'm not looking it up. Is it I want to say $3,000.
Oh, it's cheaper than that, right?
$3,000.
Is this the same? They also call this Old Pappy, right?
Well, yes, but now the thing that you need to understand about this is this particular make, as it were, is incredibly rare. So this is the Old Rip Van Winkle 25. And I'm giving you an average cost based on what Wine Spectre is telling us. And that is coming in at $52,000.
Whoa.
Now, I understand that may seem like a difficult number for you to wrap your head around, especially for a bottle of alcohol. So we're going to go to our tried and true, the Kia scale. You can get a Kia Forte and a Kia Sorrento for what you would buy for that one bottle of bourbon. So just
that's a base
that in
model
mind.
Sorrento.
Again, that's a base metal Sorrento. That's very true.
Okay.
So again, the bourbon, they're winning there. And then I found just to be fascinating. The admission acceptance rate, as we know for Texas, is unfortunately very low. It's 31.4%. But Kentucky is really serving their community at 94.6%. So again, when we're just looking at the deep numbers here, the advantage definitely goes to Kentucky. But I would love to hear your thoughts, gentlemen, on how you think this game is going to go. And we'll start with you, Ian. What's your prediction?
Well, I mean, we need to back up for just a minute. Texas does, in fact, produce bourbon.
Uh-oh.
But I think anyone would be happy to just give, in comparison to Kentucky, they may as well not at all. So I don't want to.
Oh, yeah, bourbon is called Tito's.
No, there's literally there. You can buy bourbon that's made in Texas. Oh. The Kentucky bourbon is distinct, as they'll tell you if you visit their distilleries, which I encourage everyone to do the next time Texas goes on a road trip to Kentucky. There's limestone in the water in the natural springs in Kentucky, and that gives their bourbon a different flavor. Look, UT parking. This is some people. This is valuable.
To coverage, y'all.
This is valuable to some people. But to qualify as a bourbon, it's just you don't have to have mineral water. You just have to have a certain amount of corn mash and some other ingredients that define what bourbon is.
This is pedantic and boring.
You're boring.
All right.
Oh, well, all right. Hold on.
Well.
Let's get into your pick, Ian.
I mean, you talk about a $52,000 bottle of bourbon.
Yeah.
Dude, that's like my weekly earnings.
That's a fair point. Ian, how do you see this one going?
Man, what I think I said Texas 26-17. Is that right? Oh, yeah, 23-6. Close.
You do remember your own prediction?
There's limestone in Ian's prediction.
There is limestone in Central Texas too. I wonder why take advantage. But
I'm going to get notes from Homer on this one, and I'm just I'm instantly regretting these deep stats.
I think Texas is going to be a little bit sloppy or hampered on offense. I think they are absolutely looking ahead to Texas A&M. I think Sark wants his team to be focused and to play hard, but there's no way they're giving this game the same kind of attention schematically and in their practices and what they're going to call and what they're going to hold back. So I think it'll be an ugly win. If it's not an ugly win, that's going to be really interesting. I don't know if that's actually a great sign or not. It might be.
Well, one thing in particular, Ian, is amongst the people that were making predictions on the board, the IT staff, you had Kentucky scoring the most points at 16.
Really?
What is it about their high-powered offense that you're worried about?
Well, they have their field goal kicker has not missed this year.
Okay.
And he made 2 50-plus yard kicks against Georgia. So I think that maybe they get good field position once or twice. Maybe they have a couple drives where they run the ball decently, and then they just kick field goals all day.
Okay.
Dude,
right.
Coach Charlie with the win in the chat. You got to pull that up.
Well, sorry, which one?
Coach Charlie Williams.
Here we go. Here we go. Coach Williams. Will Dean Walker be able to move Jake Majors as easy as Laura Baker moved you, Ian?
Yes, because that was actually a long process.
Okay.
Laura Baker did an amazing job we planned that for like a year. So
Justin, where do you see this one going? You have a slightly more conservative defensive score than young Ian.
Yeah, I've got it 33-10. I feel like these are kind of the Texas. I think this is it feels like the average Texas score in 2024. Texas gets about 30. The defense gives up about 10. And there's a whole bunch of in between. And I think this is the perfect game for that. I think Texas is going to hit a couple big plays. I think they're going to run the ball. It's going to be very similar, in my opinion, to against Arkansas. Because I think Kentucky's going to run the same sort of defense. And so they're going to try to take away Texas' vertical attack. Texas is going to continue to do what they do, hit Gunnar Helm on shallow cross. run the ball, throw the ball out of the backfield, stuff like that. I don't see Kentucky scoring a ton, and I think that's the difference, honestly. I think Texas is smart. This is a senior day, and so I think a lot of it's going to go into that. It's easy to overlook Kentucky because you are going to be eager for Texas A&M at about 6:30, 7 o'clock Saturday night. You're going to start to think, okay, this next week is going to be crazy. But right now, you got to do what's the task at hand. And I think Paul said it earlier, it's an elimination style right now. And so you don't want to get eliminated. Ian's got a theory that you can lose to Kentucky and still get in the playoff. I think that's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I don't think that's happening. And so
he's actually right, Justin. There are
I know he is. And
but also no free action.
In a sense. But I mean, you lose to Kentucky, buddy. This thing is going to go sideways.
As long as you have to beat A&M.
No, I know. Just like Travis Scott, I know. But I'm telling you, that doesn't feel good. What feels good is 33-10. That's what feels good.
Oh, that would certainly feel good. Where are you on this, Paul? I know that you are expecting a very similar defensive effort from Texas. What are your thoughts?
UT parking. Great minds think alike. Are we the same guy? 27-9. That was my prediction.
That was exactly your prediction.
Show the people. Oh, you put the 0 in front of the 9. Really emphasizing the 9 there.
Yeah, really went for it.
That's good. I think Kentucky's going to have trouble moving the ball and scoring. They may have a couple of little drives running the quarterback. We'll see how long that lasts. Brock Vandegrift got concussed against Tennessee, so I'm not sure how much they're going to run him. But I think they're going to struggle to move the ball. Then I think Kentucky's gotten a lot healthier on defense, and when they're healthy, they're pretty good on defense.
Yeah.
So they're getting back Maxwell Hairston, who's their best corner. Deion Walker is off the injury list. He didn't play against Murray State. I think they rested a bunch of guys, frankly, against Murray State, and so they're trying to win 2 games to close it out. They got to upset Texas, and they got to beat Louisville, their hated rival. If they do that, they go to a bowl. So they'll be fulfilled, and then they can try to talk in the offseason about buying out Stoops and letting him go on his way. So that's actually the talks right now in Kentucky. Stoops is trying to leave, and they're trying to buy him out, and they're trying to part ways. Bless you, Justin. God bless you.
Thank you. I need blessings.
Oh, Wayne Watson going for 009 with a license to kill.
Oh man, I'm getting
Wayne nailed that
in the chat. This is a good chat day for me.
Isn't Bond films? Isn't 009 like the Star Trek red shirt who like 009 is the one who gets killed, and then 007 has to go find his killer?
We don't know, Paul. This is boring and pedantic.
Hey, shut up, Ian. Shut up. No one cares about what you have to say, Ian. I'm tired of carrying the show.
I've got this one at 27-10. I'm curious. I happen to think that this is probably going to be a very frustrating first half for UT fans as they kind of paw at each other and get it figured out. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think they're going to be able to come out and dominate early? Where do you land on that, Ian?
Okay. They may come out to a good start with the initial play script, Texas, that is. But I don't know if they will maintain it. Kind of like the Arkansas game.
Right.
With the Arkansas game, Texas scored early, but you also could tell, Texas should have scored a lot more points than that. Hope that doesn't come back later, I think it might be kind of like that again. Although, as I think it was Mark Twain said, history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. So maybe there's a different flavor that's more like what you're saying, where Texas, I could see them getting off to a slow start and then Sark having to break out some stuff he didn't want to break out to get them on the board and out of that game with a win.
Well, we will find out soon enough. These next 2 weeks are going to be very telling for the Texas program. The playoffs ostensibly start tomorrow. So we really appreciate everybody being here. Be sure to join us at InsideTexas.com. That's where all of these gentlemen are doing some amazing writing. And be sure to like and subscribe to this. This really does help us grow the channel in an organic way. And we just love organic things. And for those of you playing at home that have been watching this in its entirety and maybe watching a little bit closely, I can tell you that what I had in my glass was